Hello, Mustang basketball fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at SMSU, and we're going to talk about two exciting Mustang road victories as the Mustangs beat Wayne State and Augustana to maintain a top ranking in the conference, right there near the top half, and of course in the division as well. We'll talk about those games and much more on this week's show. And joining us for the second week in a row is not head coach Brad Bigler.
No.
It's Mustang assistant coach Chad Welk. Coach Bigler out of town recruiting here in the last couple of days, so Coach Welk able to step in again, and why not? You go 2-0.
Right.
And
we need to rename the show.
Rename the show.
I'm going to write someone a letter.
No question. I think Coach Bigler will keep it what we have right now. That sounds great with me. Let's not mess with a good thing. But the Mustangs coming off of two exciting road wins, as you mentioned, beating Wayne State 58-56, and then beating Augustana 77-75. Both games down to the final possessions. The Mustangs against Wayne State. Nick Smith hits a jump shot from about 16 to 17 feet away as time expires to get the win. And then Nick scored with 20 seconds to go to give the Mustangs a 1-point lead against Augustana, and they hold on to win by 2. And Coach, it's old cliche. You'd rather win ugly than lose pretty. And I tell you what, this last weekend's games, you'll take them any way you can. But not the greatest performances, but down the stretch, the guys made enough plays.
You know, absolutely. I think against Wayne State, Wayne did a really good job of taking us out of some stuff. They competed really hard. They were down to 8 guys, going into that game. They had some injuries and some things like that. And those guys really they banded together, and they worked hard. They were hitting the offensive glass, defensive glass really hard, limiting our possessions. And our kids really showed great resolve there in the second half of the Wayne game and put it away for us. Nick Smith hitting that big jump shot. Bernard Birch was huge for us down the stretch. And seeing those seniors step up has been great.
I was just going to say the best thing about both those games were guys that have been through these battles and the close games throughout the years make some plays. Bernard Birch, who had a pretty big weekend scoring-wise, had 10 points on Friday night against Wayne State, had 17 against Augie. Of those 27, I think he scored more than half probably in the last 3 or 4 minutes of both games. And you like to have that production throughout the game, but to have him and Nick and Matt Zager against Augustana all made some plays, and that's what you need out of seniors.
No, absolutely. And those guys have all been through the ringer of the Northern Sun Conference, schedule. They've all been in all those situations plenty of times, and it was great to see those guys step up, make plays, and when we needed them the most. We need those senior leadership. The seniors are kind of the identity, or definitely the identity, of your team, and it's great to see those guys stepping up and making plays.
Well, you mentioned Wayne State had just 8 players because of injuries and whatnot, but defensively they really got after the Mustangs. You mentioned not getting those second and third opportunities, just 7 second chance points in the game. You guys shoot 36%, which is almost 15% lower than your average. And what did the Cats do to just make things a struggle for you guys to score just 58 points, a season low, and shooting nearly a season low as well?
Well, I really appreciate you banging that drum. Absolutely. They packed it in. They did some good stuff on their screening actions. They took away our initial actions pretty well. They did a really good job of that. They were kind of going man zone, switching some things up on us. And the thing is, we were getting quite good. We got some looks. We got the looks that we were looking for, a lot of times, and the shots weren't falling. So, you're going to have nights like that. You're going to have nights like that on the road. I think the thing that we took away from that, on a positive note, silver lining type of situation, is, again, those seniors coming down the stretch, making defensive stops when we needed to, finishing plays on the defensive end, and able to execute on the offensive end down the last 5 minutes.
Well, again, a big stat here we need to point out, obviously the Mustangs didn't shoot particularly well, but Wayne State just 28% shooting in the second half, 5 of 18. And if you're going to struggle on the offensive end, the defense, shouldn't struggle. It's kind of like, a batting average. You can struggle batting, but you can still defense play well, and defense on the basketball side as well. Even if you're not shooting the basketball at a high level, you can still play good defense, and the Mustangs did that.
Right, and we've tried to send the message with our guys that that's kind of got to be, our calling card to an extent. We need to make sure that there's only so many things that you can control in the game of basketball. On the offensive end, sometimes you're not going to make shots. What you can always control is your defensive intensity, your defensive execution, and we're just trying to hang our hat on that a little bit. And hopefully that carries on throughout the rest of the season.
Well, the Mustangs got the season sweep, regular season sweep over the Cats, 58-56. The next night, they head north and take on Augustana College, looking to sweep the Vikings this season, and it was a struggle. The Mustangs trailed 38-29 at halftime, trailed by 16 points in the second half, but rallied back and won 77-75. An important win, Coach, not only to stay, get to 10-4 in the conference, but now have a game lead on Augie. Also have the tiebreaker on Augustana when we look at the conference tournament here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But another character win for you guys, and guys making plays down the stretch, because Augustana very good at home,
absolutely,
and a very good team in general. But an impressive win, first time the Mustangs have won in nearly 10 years at Augustana, and just really a big character win for you guys.
Absolutely. And being down 16 in that game, I don't remember the amount of time exactly, but it's probably 15-minute mark, 16 points. It was one of those situations that it was, again, back to the seniors. It was a great job. It was a great cumulative effort by all of our seniors. We had a lot of good play from a lot of role guys coming up, scoring big, finishing possessions. We had great communication, great defensive intensity throughout that stretch, and we're able to hit some shots that normally our guys are pretty accustomed to making. So that was really good to see.
Yep. Again, the Vikings shoot 39% in the second half, and the Mustangs outscore Augustana 48-37. One change in that ballgame, Coach. You put Mitch Wegg back in the starting lineup. He did start in the first 5-6 games of the season. Him and Joey Bartlett switched out. What was the reason that you and the coaching staff and Coach Bigler elected to do that?
We were just, to be honest, we've had some trouble starting games. We've been turning the ball over a little bit, getting off to some slower starts, and we were just trying to mix it up, keep everybody on their toes. From just internally, not only from how it affects other teams was kind of inconsequential as far as that decision went. But we were just trying to mix it up, bring Joe off, bring some scoring off the bench, and add a little bit of defensive presence. In that first rotation.
First rotation. Again, the Mustangs shoot very high in the ballgame, 55%, 52 in the first, 57 in the second half, and had a lead in that first half, and then wham, the Vikings hit three three-pointers in the last couple of minutes, and next thing you know, you're down 9 points, and that really can be a kind of a shocker going into the locker room, and I'm sure that maybe carried over into the second half.
We just had some miscommunication. We were in some zones that we were kind of miscommunicated on some dribble drives, and left some shooters open on the wings, which is the exact thing that you cannot do against Augustana. Those guys shoot the ball very well. They shoot at a really high level, and give those guys an inch and they're going to fire it, and which proved to be true. They hit some shots going into half, and we were just hoping to get to the break and then get going.
Yeah, and the Mustangs did finally get going midway through the second half and rallied for the win. A couple of stats from that game against Augustana. Matt Zager, his first 20-point scoring game of the season. He had 20 points. Nick Smith, 14 points, 9 rebounds. An impressive number for Bernard Birch, Coach. 17 points, 7 assists, just 1 turnover, just 8 in the game. And when you have a possession, we talked about this last week, every game in this conference, you can look at the stats. They're going to be 2 to 3 possessions in the difference, and 8 possessions. Now Augustana only committed 5. Yeah. I think they committed 9 in the 2 games against the Mustangs this season, and lost both games. But it tells you when you hang on to the basketball and shoot at a high level, you're going to be in most games and more often than not win.
Gosh. Yeah, absolutely, and that's a critical stat. There's no question about it. We had a set goal of what we wanted to stay under as far as turnovers, and we really made a point to bang that home with our guys over the course of last week, and they really answered the bell. It started off, Wayne State didn't start off well. We started off the game, I believe, with 4 straight turnovers or something of that nature, which wasn't ideal, but they still pulled it off and ended up hitting our number, and it was good. The same holds true for Augustana. Did a good job taking care
and that
of
Vikings, the win over the Vikings, Matt Zager, a nice night, 6 of 9, 4 3-pointers, and closing in now on 1,000 points. He's 8 away, and that's a milestone you want to get past. I'm sure it's in his head a little bit, but really nice to see how he came through it and had a big game for the Mustangs, and hopefully can get that out of the way early here on Friday night against Bemidji State.
Right. I just hope he gets it.
Yes.
I hope he gets it. At some point. I don't care when it happens. I hope he gets it.
Yes, but 4 3-pointers for him, and when he's hitting those shots, he's a tough guard.
Absolutely.
Because obviously people have to respect the fact that he can shoot the 3, but he can also drive into the glass as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he's capable of shooting the ball at a high level like we saw on Saturday night. And what we're looking for is a little bit more consistency, and I know that that's what he's looking for. I think that he had an injury a few weeks ago that kind of held him back, I think, a little bit. He was kind of thinking about it a little bit, was struggling a little bit with his dribble drives, which is primarily his focus. And that kind of took him out of some things, like rhythm-wise, as far as taking some of those jump shots. But looks like we're past that, and he's been shooting the ball really well in practice and obviously on Saturday night, so moving forward.
Another upperclassman who's played very well throughout the entire season, just a nice role coming off the bench. That's been Sean Condon, and had some big shots against Augustana. Had an and one nearly late in the game that would have given the Mustangs tied it up. But he was 6 of 11, had 14 points, and he just seemed like he's kind of fitting into knowing his role. That he's may not start, but he's going to play some major minutes down the stretch.
No, he's a huge role for us. He's playing a big role for us. I mean, he's hitting a lot of shots. He's opening up the defense, opening up driving lanes for Vennard, taking advantage of some driving lanes. He's definitely not very good athletically. He's pretty much landlocked, and slow. He's very slow and not a good defender.
Yeah, right.
But he's able to change speeds. He's hitting open shots, and he's playing. He's really doing a great job for us.
Again, the Mustangs shoot 55% in the win over Augustana. 14 points for Condon, and Nick Smith, as you mentioned, 20 for Zager and 17 for Vennard Birch, and again 7 assists for Vennard. And the Mustangs, really shooting at a high level in this particular game now, shooting at 50% nearly for the season. And, what's the main factor? We've talked about this with Coach Bigler, Coach Welk, is, getting good action to the rim. And if you get shots inside 10 feet, you're going to make a lot of them. But it's been kind of a common theme for Mustang basketball the last 3 years. A team shooting at such an incredible pace, top 20 in the country at percentage, and to shoot that high is a credit to really not just the guys scoring, but away from the basketball as well.
Right. I think it's a point of focus. I mean, like you said, we're getting to certain areas, trying to get into the paint and make distributions from that point. And a lot of those jump shots that we're taking are close, 10 feet and in, but the perimeter shots that we're taking are generally open because of that initial penetration and that inside-out action. Guys are getting good looks, good rhythm looks, which is good to see. And
a couple of stats, national statistics coming out on Monday. Mustangs rank 19th in the country in field goal percentage at 49.6%. Rebound margin 53rd in the country as well, and averaging a +5. You put those two numbers together, and that's a good number to see, considering that when you make a lot of shots, there's not a lot of chances to get rebounds. But you Mustangs still at a +5, and I tell you what, it seems like those percentages, rebound and turnovers, are the big stats, and turnover margin still struggling at that a little bit because of a slow start this season, but that's gotten better here in the last month or so.
It has, absolutely, and guys are doing a good job of making good checks, going to meet the ball, attacking the basketball, loose balls, that type of thing, and from a rebounding standpoint, that's all you can ask.
Well, the Mustangs beat the Wildcats in Wayne, Nebraska by a score of 58-56. Let's take a look at those highlights all the way down to the final buzzer as the Mustangs pick up the victory. And Coach, we start off here in the first half. Mustangs in the gold uniforms going right to left. And mentioned struggling in the first half, scoring just 30 points, but Nick Smith didn't get a lot of baskets, but there was a big one there early on. One of his 2 in the entire game. Got one early and got one late.
Important ones.
Sean Condon, we mentioned his play coming off the bench, drilling that 3-pointer. And there's a press put on here by the Mustangs coach.
Yep, and we were just trying to speed him up a little bit, not necessarily trying to turn him over, but the guys did a good job of getting a hand on the ball there and getting the finish for Will.
And Giddings gets the tip, gets the basket to go. The Mustangs are early on, and then
Zag's getting loose here a little bit.
Yep, top of the key, hits Zager, hits the 3. The Mustangs had 7 in the game. He had 2 of them, and that was the first. And then here's Giddings in the top of your screen.
A wide open look off that inside-out action, rhythm shot.
Will, one of the top 3-point shooters percentage-wise in program history, struggled in this game, just 1 of 5. But here driving and getting it up off the window and in. And then Zager in transition. Mustangs took advantage of that, defense. Transition defense didn't work there for the Wildcats. There's another 3. Joey Bartlett. And the Mustangs are keeping it alive, and Nick Smith drawing the foul.
Drew Osmondson did a really good job on that play, keeping that basketball alive for Nick to get that rebound and pull and get the foul.
And the Wildcats shot very high percentage in the game at 52% in the first half. Mustangs probably fortunate to only be down by 3. There's an offensive rebound for the Mustangs. Vennard Birch didn't get the shot to go, but Mustangs come away with it and draw a foul.
Joey Bartlett with a transition 3 right here. He's been getting a lot of open looks and able to knock that one down.
Mustangs stayed in the game. 6 of their 11 baskets in the first half were from long range. And here's one just inside the arc for Bartlett from about 17 feet. Drills that.
Pull up.
And now we go into the second half, and the Mustangs, Will Giddings makes a play.
Coming out in the zone a little bit, throwing up the lob for Will.
Not an easy play, but Will
is an athlete.
Yep, he can catch that ball. The ball gets somewhere near the backboard. He'll catch it and can make a play and gets the basket to go. Again, Will at 11 points.
Mitch Wegg there with that flash and finisher on the rim. Nick Smith with the pass, I believe.
Mustangs trail by 7 in the second half with just over 11 minutes to go. There's Zager driving, finishing, and then a nice fadeaway jumper here by Sean Condon.
He gets into the paint, gets lost a little bit, turns around, finds the rim, and fires it in.
Birch making a play. Yes. You must have your words of wisdom for Sean Condon. Guys makes plays, that's what you need. And there's a drive again. Condon showing his athleticism.
Sean Condon hitting a 3. It's Sean Condon show here for a minute.
Birch, nice extra pass, top of the key, a big 3. And then Will Giddings as the Mustangs make their comeback here. Hits a pull-up jumper. Again, the Mustangs shot just 35% in the second half, 1 of 9 from long range. You saw the only 3 of the second half. Mustangs patient here and tough play.
That same little hesitation, getting to the rim. Strong jump stop.
Mentioned Bernard Birch really making some plays down the stretch, and you're going to see a couple of plays here. Drawing a foul, getting to the free throw line, and then also scoring as well here in these next couple of possessions.
Yeah, he did a great job in that game of attacking the rim. Once it got down to the end there, was going to the line, making plays.
And here he is fouled with a minute and a half to go to put the Mustangs up here. They lead by 4 at this particular moment of the game, taking some time off the clock, and would get fouled and hit 1 of 2 free throws, or actually gets the and one, and Mustangs. Now here we go. This is the shot. The Mustangs tied here at 56 with the Wildcats after they scored 5 straight here in the last minute.
Wayne kind of checks into a zone here. Look, they're trying to clog, keep Bernard out of the paint. Do a good job of that. Bernard does the right thing, draws about 4 guys and leaves Nick wide open for that 17-foot jump shot.
That was, obviously the Cats knew exactly what Southwest was going to do is get Bernard to drive, but that also is a great sign that, he doesn't have to be the only guy. Against Moorhead, he went down, scored, also scored against Augustana in the final 15 seconds or so, but somebody else stepped up, and we saw Nick's first basket early in the game and then his last one. And, obviously here's a guy that scored, over 1,000 points in his career. He's second in the team in scoring, and that's probably a tough spot to only have him make 2 field goals in a game that you need on the road.
Yeah, we'd like to have him pepper in a few more here and there. We're going to talk to him about that and hopefully coach him to score a little bit more going forward.
Well, the Mustangs were able to survive and get that win 58-56, and guys make plays down the stretch, and a big jumper there for Nick to make that. And I just think, as a former player coach and been in this league a long time coaching, those kind of games are what you need if you're going to play deep into March, and to have that confidence and know, we can go down to the stretch and make some big shots, and it's got to be a big confidence booster.
No, absolutely. And I as a staff, we kind of felt like we didn't play our greatest game against Wayne State. But, it was great that our seniors got together. It was great that we were able to finish an ugly game, able to come out of there with a victory on the road, win ugly on the road, like you said before, and that's exactly what we did. So.
Well, the Mustangs, again, got the win at Wayne State, a place that's been very difficult for the Mustangs to win over the last really entire program history, but has had better success lately. But Augustana, as we mentioned, the last time the Mustangs won in Sioux Falls against the Vikings, December 11th, 2004, so it was a tough road game for the Mustangs, and they went down to the Elman Center, the home of Chad Welk. I'm surprised it's not named after you. The big-time 3-year starter there for the Vikings. But nonetheless, always fun to go back to Augustana for you, I'm sure, and the Mustangs here. I really played well in the first 15 minutes or so, yep. Coach. You held the lead for much of this opening half.
You know, this is really a battle. I mean, it was a back-and-forth game for most of the game, especially that first half, first 15. Like you said, it was back and forth. We were kind of getting some shots that we needed to get to fall, and we were kind of rolling a little bit early.
And there's Nick Smith making that shot, 17-footer, much like the night before against the Wayne State. Offensive rebound for Joey Bartlett in the finish.
Matt Zager with a little hesitation getting around off the ball screen.
And then here's Bartlett connecting on a three just off the right side of the top of the key. SMSU shooting 52% in the opening half. That was their only 3 out of 6 attempts.
There's a great job, Nick Smith, recognizing the double team and getting the ball to well. Good finish.
I mentioned Sean Condon. He had 14 points, 6 of 11. Had an acrobatic play earlier in these highlights and finished one off there. And now you see Bernard Birch. And Nick Smith again with that right-handed, patented hook shot.
I can't say enough good things about the way Bernard's been taking control of situations over the course of this as this season's progressed. He's been doing a great job.
And Will Giddings, a tough move with the left hand, hitting that one. And there's a 15-footer for Bernard, who's really made that his patented shot when he's making the jumpers this year, and that's added so much to his game. He's got 90 assists and shooting over 50%. We're in the second half as the Mustangs trail by 9, 38-29 at halftime. But
great dump down.
Nice pass there by Bernard Birch to Nick Smith. Mustangs again trail by 16 with 13:20 to go in the second half, and there's Sean Condon hitting a long 2.
Yeah, Sean was a big-time catalyst in our comeback here, too. I mean, he's going to hit some shots, 2 in a row there. That kind of gets us going a little bit.
There's Condon again getting the handoff from Smith.
Nice little pull-up.
Pull-up there from 16, and then big 3 for the Mustangs. They had 4 in the second half. 4 in the game by Matt Zager, and this is it here. Matt, 4 in the second half. It's this 3 from the left wing. And then Bernard Birch doesn't get credit for the assist, but drives and gets it off to Nick, who gets fouled. Would have been another assist for the senior Birch, the all-time assist leader. Big offensive rebound by Smith over to Zager. Yeah. Boy, that's a huge second chance points. Mustangs pick up 3 on that particular time. And again, you're seeing big plays by the seniors. Yep. Nick Smith, and here's Zager hitting a 3 as well. Back-to-back 3s for the Mustangs.
Matt Zager was great down the stretch in that game, hitting those shots. But I mean, on the other end of the floor, those guys were doing a great job. We were really communicating at a high level, defensively, finishing possessions, which allowed us, to get some things going offensively.
And Bernard making some plays now here. We get down to under 4 minutes to go. He finishes at the rim. Mustangs get a stop on the defensive end, and then Bernard finishes it off here, and Mustangs are feeling it at this point.
If he's hitting that 17-footer, we know he's feeling good about life.
And even had a big smile on his face after that one.
Yeah, he couldn't get a smile off his face with a crowbar at that point. So.
Mustangs keep it alive there, big steal, and they keep it alive off the miss, and the Mustangs come back the other way. Birch finds Condon down the lane and puts it up off the window. And 1. Did not make the free throw, would have tied the game, but the Mustangs come right back, and Bernard Birch gives the Mustangs the lead on this play with under a minute to go. And after Augustana took the 1-point lead, here's the go-ahead shot, Birch to Smith.
And that's what Bernard's doing, though. I mean, he's attacking the rim so well and drawing defenders and good dump downs. This is the last defensive possession of the game. Mitch Wegg did a great job on Jansen forcing that tough shot, and Will Giddings just scooping up that rebound.
Yep, one of the top players in the league, and for Augustana, Jansen with that reverse layup. Good defense by the Mustangs, and then as Coach mentioned, Giddings comes down with the rebound, hits 1 of 2 free throws to give the Mustangs a 2-point lead. Not great comfort because they still had time to go, the Vikings, with about 4 seconds to go, but the Vikings just could not get a shot off, lost control of the basketball in the front court, and the game ends, and the Mustangs pick up a huge win, 77-75. Mustangs 13-7 overall, and now 10-4 in the Northern Sun Conference, and picking up a couple of huge wins on the road, as we saw. tough to win on the road, and no matter where you go, and to get 2 of those is a huge sweep for the Mustangs. So now Southwest in a stretch here where we have a lot of games on the road here in the next couple of weeks. Do come home this weekend. Bemidji State on Friday, Minnesota Crookston on Saturday. It's Hawaiian night at the RA facility on Saturday, so entire weekend promises to be an exciting one. And Coach, what a challenge Friday night coming to town. The division leaders in the north, Bemidji State, who's beat Augustana on the road. They beat Wayne State. They've played some big-time games this year, and they're really playing well. This is not only for huge for our division to keep going, but for the overall standings, this will be a big one to get. We've already beaten Northern and Moorhead from the north, and in Duluth. Now it's time to get Bemidji State as well.
Yeah, Bemidji is a very well-coached team. They have a lot of threats on the offensive end. They don't make a lot of mistakes to take care of the ball. They do everything that they need to do to stay in and ultimately win basketball games. It's going to be a big test for us on Friday. Yeah,
they've been playing very well and got some big-time scorers as well, guys. Absolutely. That have a couple of new players on their squad that have put up big shots, and against Augustana, I think about 3 weeks ago, they shot over 70% in the game. So we know how difficult they can be at times, and teams have shot well against us, and that's just, I'm sure, it comes down to that defensive effort.
We're trying. Our goal is to hold them under 70%. I mean, if that's going to be our goal for the.
I would hope so.
Yeah, right. So, we just need to make sure that we're staying in system defensively and trying to make it as difficult for those guys as possible.
Well, my goal would be maybe under 40%. Maybe I should come in and talk. And then, of course, following the game on Friday, Minnesota Crookston coming to town for Hawaiian night, and that's always a unique event. Obviously, sometimes you can have almost be too pumped up for the guys, and they've been through this. Obviously, 3 of them is for the seniors, but it's a game where you can't get too jacked up early in the ball game. Just got to play your game because there's a whole entire 40 minutes to play.
Right. The crowd is the crowd, and I think our guys need to be excited. Obviously, the atmosphere is going to be great. We just need to make sure that we're focused and on the task at hand, and make sure we're sticking on game plan, and everything should come out okay.
And the Mustangs have had some good success at home this season, just a couple of losses against teams that shot very well those games, Fort Hays State and Upper Iowa. So let's hope the Mustangs can get a couple of wins and keep that march toward February here and into March as we get to the conference tournament, and hopefully a chance to play in the postseason and the NCAA tournament as well. But still lots of basketball to be played, and it starts this weekend at the RA facility, 8 o'clock Friday night against Bemidji State, and then 7 o'clock against Minnesota Crookston for Hawaiian night on February 1st on Saturday. Coach Welk, thanks for stepping in again, back-to-back weeks. If you get 2 wins this week, 4-0, you may be the permanent host of this show now.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. I feel like,
Well, let's bring Brad in for.
Yeah, he can do guest spots.
He can come in and do that as well.
Yeah.
But we appreciate
keep his name on it, though.
That's right. We'll keep his name on it. We want to thank Coach Chad Welk for stepping in again this week. You've been watching Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. For Chad Welk, I'm Kelly Loff. Thanks for watching. Make sure and support the Mustangs this weekend at the RA facility against Bemidji State and Minnesota Crookston. Until next time, go Mustangs.